Greetings, guitar fans and YouTubers. My name is Buzz Miller of Wannabe Studios. Today we are going to talk about the Mooer GE200. Why are we talking about this? It is May of 2020. This thing came out years ago. Well, the reason we're talking about it is there's a lot of them out there and they just got cheap. How cheap? $250 delivered free to your door in US, Canada, and parts of Europe. That is not an open box. That is brand new, full warranties, everything. So let's open it up and take a peek. First thing I see is I love it when a company values my money like I do. They put this thing in a good, solid packaging. This is taken care of in shipping. Cute little cutouts for your buttons, for your expression pedal. Nice, solid, sturdy packaging. This thing is small. It's the next thing I notice. And look at that. Basically just a little more than the width of my hand. This is a small little unit, but it's heavy. You can feel a solid steel chassis. This thing is robust. It is not a little flimsy throwaway piece of junk. The buttons are nice and solid, but you don't hear them when you're playing with your signal chain. So, why did it get so cheap so quick? First of all, Mooer came out with the GE300. Twice as big, bunch more buttons, a lot more options. Then they came out with the GE250. I think it's about the same size, maybe one button and a little bit larger. Why did they come out with it? One reason, as I see it, because there's only really one change, is external routing. So now that we're talking about external routing, let's see if this will work for you. If it doesn't, maybe look to the 250, maybe look to one of the other makers. But we've got input. We've got an aux in. Throw your MP3 player in there, play along to your songs until you know them. You've got an expression pedal. This has lots of expression pedal options, so to have a second expression pedal, you can extend to that. From there, you've got one guitar input, you've got two guitar outputs. There are no loops, no nothing. This is simple. You've got a headphone out that's an 1/8 inch. You've got a USB. You can plug a computer in and do things through the computer. You do not have to. Every change that can be done to a sound can be done with this little button. Scroll to select, hit to enter. That simple. Then you've got a power in, and that's it. So if you're looking for a 4-cable method or a 6-cable method, nope, this is not your guy. If you want one standalone unit that you can go take on Friday night to this little club that's not very big of a stage and the sound not very good, take this guy. You don't need an amp. You can do all your cab simulations and everything right in here, plug your guitar in, out to the house, and you're done. If you want to carry a little 212 behind you or a 112 behind you, you can go one to the house and one to your little amp behind you, and the two outputs. You can select to send the effects out to those outputs or select not to send them out. Also, your cab emulation. You can choose to select it in the output or to pass by. So, I want to send one to the house and I want to send one to the amp. Well, I may want to send the one to the amp without the cab emulation, the one to the house I want it. That's easily selectable. Okay, so next, why this might be a cool unit. This baby sounds great. I've played with a lot of units, especially the ones this size. I find the sound is not that great. This one has great sound. Is it a Kemper? Is it a brand new Axe-Fx? No. None of them are, really. So if Axe-Fx and Kemper are over here at 100, this guy's solid in the 80s. If the teacher's grading on a curve, this guy might get an A. But in the other modelers and processors this size or in this price range, this one sounds the best in my opinion. Now, before we go too far, it has 150 presets and then 50 empty presets. So you got 200 total. The presets that come factory in this unit stink. They are awful. I've thrown every single one away because they're just not good enough to play. So if you plug this in and you're scrolling through and you're like, this thing sounds terrible, or if you go see a YouTube video, we're going to go through all the stock channels. You're going to hear a bunch of crap. Take every one of those sounds and adjust them to the way you like them, or the way your amp likes them, or the way your headphones like them, whatever. You can adjust every one and overwrite it. Once you've overwritten some sounds, this thing sounds great. Now, we're going to plug it into a computer in just a second, and we're going to talk about that along with the computer program and what it does, but you do not need to hook a computer up to this. If you've been looking at the amp modeling for a while and thinking, oh, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'm not really a computer guy, or I don't have a laptop to take with me to the gig, you don't need it. You don't need it. The computer can do very few things that you can't do directly in here, and most of them are exporting or importing sounds that you can share with your friends, etc. Okay, I've just plugged in my system. Just plugged in my GE200, guitar in. This is going to a little noisemaker in the corner, USB coming around to my computer, and power in. First thing you notice when you open this up, here's your preset list. From 1 to 200, that's all your presets. Like I said, every preset in here you can overwrite. They don't find that any of their sounds are sacred, which is good because they really suck. So, we've got that, and then we go up to the top, and this is the only section that cannot be accessed without a computer. So the first thing that we can't access is import. If our friend's got a sound that we absolutely love, they can save it into a file. We load that file and put it into our system by import. Click import, goes to a file folder, you find out where it is, double click on it, that file is now in our system. Now on the back side of that, we've got export. We've got the greatest sound in the world. We want to give it to our buddy because we're going to do this one spot with dual leads. And we want to have exactly the same sound. That's one cool thing about digital world. You can have exactly the same sound. You don't have two amps that say they're the same, but they don't quite sound the same or whatever. So you can export your sound, same idea, to a file, give it to his computer or her computer. They can load it into their system. Backup takes everything back to the default. I never want to do that, so I've actually never clicked it to make sure that's what it does. Option. We go down here to version update. If we're hooked to the internet, this goes to mooreaudio.com. It will make sure that this has the most current firmware on it, and this is the most current software they have. If it doesn't have the most current stuff, it tells you and it reloads the newest stuff to your computer and your unit. So that's a cool item to have that does not come from here. You have to have a computer hooked up. So down here's our signal chain. Guitar in all the way to out. So if we want to move something around, we want our effects after our cab, we can just move it over to here. It slides everything. If we want our effect back, we've got a compressor on there, so I want it up front. If the little insignia, the little icon is gray, it means that channel is off. Also, it'll show you that the green light is off. You click it, it turns it on, it turns the green light on. As soon as you have the yellow box around that channel, these are all your variables for adjusting that channel. So let's turn it off. Let's go and take that square over to overdrive or distortion, and it gives us the option of that particular distortion or overdrive pedal. That's pretty much it there. Let's go over to system. If we click on system, this is where we can select if we want effects added to the outputs here. We can say I want effect on the left output but not the right output. We've got system input level. Usually you don't mess with that. Recording volume, play volume when you're dealing with your looper. This does have a nice little drum machine on it, so you can practice along to that. And then we've got, if we want our cabinet simulation on for these outputs, you can turn it off by pressing through, or you can keep it on. Down here you can choose if you want trail on or off and what looper mode you want. Control tap. You get to the tap, it tells you that right now I'm on 250, but I want it a lot slower than that. So I tap in, now I'm set at 90, and the light shows that I'm set at 90. Go over to control. What does that control actually do on this channel, or on this preset? Right now, it's controlling nothing, but let's say I've got a delay on there. I want it to affect the delay. I've got a mod of some chorus. Well, I certainly want it to follow that chorus, so I'm going to add those. That's what the control, my tap tempo is going to control on this. Now let's go to expression. Expression, we've got expression and expression 2 if we want to do a second expression out of that port we talked about. Right now, I have it controlling the amp. I have it controlling the master level of the amp. So I'm actually turning the amp up and down with my expression pedal. I can change it to anything I want. Any of the channels here can be selected, and any variable can be selected. So let's say for some reason I want to go to cab, and I want to adjust the distance of the microphone from the speaker in a way. Let's say I want a little less presence, and then I've got a little fill spot I kind of want to add a little push to. I can actually adjust the distance of that perceived microphone from the cone with this. It's amazing all the things you can do. You can kind of get lost in it. I keep it kind of simple, but that's why they leave the room for a second expression pedal. This over here tells you if your cabinet emulation is on for the left and for the right. It tells you a couple of other things. Here's where you choose all of your drop down. So let's talk about this real quick. Let's go to cab and let's choose our drop down. Down here at the bottom where we have a plus and a minus, these are the 10 channels that we can put our own cabinet IRs in. You hit the plus button, it goes out to a file folder, you select the IR you want and it will load in once you click open. And if you want that one to be gone, you simply click the minus and it deletes it. Same thing with amps. It's got the same drop down. You've got 10 channels. You don't have 1,000, it's just 10 channels. If I were to say a nice one phrase review of the GE200, it's simple yet effective. And that's really what we're looking at. 10 IRs, simple yet effective. If you've got 1,000 you want to play with, this probably isn't the product you're looking for. So I'm listening to Vernon Reid the other day, and I am listening to the Stained album. And I said, okay, I'm giving myself 2 minutes. 2 minutes only to try to make the sound that he had on that album. So for 2 minutes, if I can get this sound, imagine what you can get out of 20. There you go. For $250 delivered to your door, I don't know that you can beat it. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on rocking.